Here's the theme of the day. Today, it's going to be no guru, no woo woo. Now, with everything else we talk about, it's going to be done in a non judgmental way, but I want to get real today about some of the gurus and teachers that are out there and how they can knock you off your path, how they might be able to kind of hold you back a little bit, the red flags to look for, and the green flags to look for. Let's do this. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm glad you're here. If you've been with me for a while, thank you. And I am excited for your spiritual journey and your intuitive development because you focus in on it and it expands and it opens up and life gets better. If you are new to the podcast, I want you to do the whole channel myself favors because we want to try to reach as many people as we can to help them with one message. And I'll tell you what that message is. But do the subscribe, follow thing, whatever is hanging around as you're watching or listening to this. But the message is that everyone is intuitive. Every single person is intuitive, including you, including me. We're all intuitive. And my journey, I went from such an extreme, non-intuitive, closed, skeptical path to one that was wide open and wonderful. And I have to tell you that my life is so good today as a result of it. And I've met and heard so many incredible, beautiful stories of people. Same thing. They're so glad they went through their spiritual awakening, which can be bumpy at first. They're so glad that they started to pay attention to their intuition because it's a game changer. It changes your life. It really does. You start to have understandings and you can guide yourself better. You don't have to run into 8 trees before you can find the path. You know what I mean? So opening up spiritually, opening up intuitively is really important. And everyone that taps into their intuition is just going to raise the overall vibration anyway. So thanks for the help with that. Subscribe, tell a friend, that kind of thing. Today, we're going to talk about teachers. We're going to talk about teachers. We're going to talk about gurus. We're going to talk about red flags and green flags and what to look for. And my hope is that you leave this episode feeling way more confident in yourself and in your intuitive process and in the ability to get the answers that you need within. That's my hope, because this is not going to be a black and white discussion. I am not going to be here to say, oh, teachers are bad, gurus bad, woo-woo's bad. Nope. I'm going to talk about the flavor of teacher or guru or woo-woo that is not good. So you can look for the flavor of teacher or guru or, book or movie or anything that is good. I'm going to put out those things to look for. This is what happened here. This is what happened here. Compare them and pay attention. Now, let's start with talking about, let's talk about the hard piece of this. When somebody starts to walk a spiritual path or goes through an awakening, which is bumpy, or they just decide this is the time to go deeper or to expand my intuition even more. Most times, and again, not black and white, so it's not every time, but most of the time, there is an event that has happened that is connected to the awakening of their spiritual path, is connected to the opening of their intuition, or is connected to your programming saying you can't live like this anymore. This is probably by far the strongest commonality between people that open up intuitively and start to walk an intuitive path, which makes this time as they're walking through it and opening and learning and adjusting a bit of a vulnerable time. And a lot of people aren't talking about that. I am today talking about that. I'm getting really real about it because if we can identify when we're in a vulnerable state, we can take extra steps to care for ourselves in that vulnerable state. Do we need to pull out of that vulnerable state? No. You're in that state because you're going from the old to the new. So keep on walking through it and keep on experiencing it. Have all the feels, the good and the bad. But having that little extra awareness, that a little extra lining around it that says, I should probably be just a little bit more cautious right now, that's going to save you potential heartbreak or potential struggle. So that's the tough part of this conversation today, because if it wasn't for people going down the most magnificent, beautiful path of healing, inner work, spiritual opening, spiritual awakening, intuitive expansion, if it wasn't for all of those things, which are so good, it wouldn't be for some of the crappy gurus and teachers out there, because there is the good and the bad in the teaching world, in the guide world, and no, I don't mean spiritual guide world. I mean like human living person guide world. Today we're talking all about the living people, because there are good and bad people out there. And same is true in the spiritual realms. Not talked about too much. I wish it was talked about more. I wish people were held to a bit of a higher standard. I wish people were allowed to say, no. But I can think of a number of people that have taken advantage of people. John of God, I think, is serving time right now. And for a very long time, he was very highly regarded. There are a lot of examples. You want to watch a documentary? Watch Twin Flames on Netflix. That one, that one just gets under my skin. And I will never be in a room with that man, because I like my freedom. So it just enrages me when one person takes advantage of another person. So here we are. Again, not all teachers, but there is a distinct difference. And once we talk about that difference, then we can see it faster. Here's what I mean by that. 10, 15, 20 years ago, not a lot of people really understood narcissism. But today, we understand it better, don't we? A lot of people have gotten out of narcissistic relationships because it's come to the surface. People started talking about it. There's a lot more discussion out there about gaslighting. Love Dr. Ramani. Dr. Ramani, has got a YouTube channel. She has probably saved just probably thousands and thousands and thousands of people's lives when it comes to narcissistic abuse and educating around it. So once the education of these things come out, that's where people can start to see them more quickly. I am hoping we have more discussions about spirituality and those that we follow spiritually, the gurus and the teachers, because once the discussion comes out, doesn't mean every person you meet is going to be a narcissist. It just means you can now see which ones are and which ones aren't, and you can get better at it. Right? That's the power of having these discussions. So here we go. When it comes to that vulnerability is actually a beautiful thing, because it means you're in a state of change and metamorphosis, and you're becoming the beautiful butterfly that you were always meant to be. Delicious, wonderful, keep doing it, don't stop. But let's set up some boundaries around who you allow into that inner healing circle and who you don't. Only you know, but let's talk about the red flags and the green flags. When it comes to gurus and teachers that fall into the red flag category, and then actually I'll give you a really fun story at the end of this about the worst guru I ever met. Yeah. But red flag, let's get back to the red flag. People who do want to take advantage of others and claim to be gurus or claim to be spiritual teachers, the number one thing you should look for is positioning. Number one, that is the easiest red flag to catch. And it is usually the one that is the clearest right out of the gate. What I mean by positioning is if they think they are better than you, if they think you could never reach the levels they could reach, if they are sitting on a throne on the stage, flipping her long dark hair back and saying, I am the most evolved human being on this planet and enlightened, human being on the planet, run, walk away. That is a person who is only wanting people who admire her or him. I was thinking of one there for a second that I'm not a fan of. And for them, it's about being worshiped. It's about being seen in these sparkly eyes, just like they all love me. It's not about you for that kind of a guru or that kind of a teacher. Anytime somebody positions themselves and says anything along the lines to you that you will never be able to reach the status that they've reached, that is the easiest, quickest way to the exit ever. Walk out that door, go find someone else. A really good teacher, and you may have heard me talk about this because I kind of categorize myself in this lump of teachers, are the lighthouse teachers. And I tell people, have 2 or 3 teachers at a time. That is the smartest way to do it because you can kind of mentally compare. I didn't feel good with this one, but I felt really good with this one. Like I told my one story to both of them, and this is how they both reacted. So I tell people get multiple sources. That also was very helpful tip. But lighthouse teachers are the best. Lighthouse teachers are the ones that they're only sometimes like obnoxious, desire is to just tell you as much as they can tell you and give you as much light on your journey as possible. A lighthouse teacher is somebody that sees you on your path, your ship, not on theirs, but on your own beautiful ship. And they see you going up the side of the coast. They shine the light and say, here's some information that you need to continue on your journey. Lighthouse teachers are teachers that don't expect you to follow them for life. Lighthouse teachers are excited to be able to cheer you on. Lighthouse teachers are the ones that are standing on the side of the marathon yelling, yes, you can do it. Try this, try this, try this to improve your run. And they will never say to you that you're never going to be able to run as fast as them. Those are the teachers that you want to look for. Those are the wonderful green flag teachers. And there's a lot of them out there all over the world. That's another positioning thing. When a guru or teacher says to you, I am the only one, no, run. There are many, many, many and today there are many lighthouse teachers all over the globe, and they're bubbling up more and more and more because of this big spiritual shift that we're going through. And a lot of them, I just went on a podcast, was interviewed on a podcast with another, what I would consider a lighthouse teacher. And he's doing some incredible work. He works in the television industry, and he's like, I didn't grow up spiritual, but this thing happened. And now I'm using my skills and knowledge to lift up as many people as I can lift up. And those are the ones that you want to connect with, because they're not in it for them. They're in it because they're just excited to see other people succeed. Two very different types of people. And what is the big distinction between those two? Positioning. I'm trying to think, how would that positioning guru approach the marathon with you? They wouldn't let you run it, because they certainly wouldn't let you run the whole marathon, because they wouldn't want you to prove to yourself that you could cross the finish line. Because if you cross the finish line, then you're not their follower anymore. And then they don't feel good about themselves, because the only way they can feel good about themselves is have people be their followers. Yuck. So that, hands down, best advice probably is look for the positioning factor. Were they touched by an ancient Palladian starseed thing of a light that came down and went, right? And then now I'm the only person that has this energy in this world, and my job is to, save the planet. So listen for those types of things. Here's where it gets tough, but I'm going to give you a way to shift. It gets tough because in the vulnerable state, we naturally are looking for someone to care. That is natural, normal, 100%. And we can be magnetically kind of sucked in, drawn in to somebody that love bombs you just enough to get you to follow them. So, a couple things I want you to hear about that piece. Number one, nobody's an idiot for that. Nobody's like, we've all been, I've had narcissists. I was completely sucked into that relationship and took me a long time to figure one of them out and get the heck away from them. But this has nothing to do with intelligence. This has nothing to do with logic or anything like that. And this should have nothing to do with judgment upon yourself. If you have gotten into a relationship with a guru or a teacher who positioned with you and then started to make you feel bad and, that type of stuff, we can look at ourselves and go, why did I do that? Why did I do that? I'm saying this to you, directly to you from me. I've been there. We've all been there. And it's very natural because when you are in that vulnerable state, you're in a state of development, you're in a state of change, and you're looking for something that is solid that you can hold on to. You're looking for that rock. And they give you that. They figure out what you need and then they offer that to you. They pull you in and then they position with you. So we're not going to see the positioning all the time right in the beginning. Sometimes it's going to take a little bit for them to show their true colors. So it's okay. It's okay. Please don't use the words like I was duped or I was fooled or I was tricked. That's like saying you ate a meal from somebody who was an incredible chef and it tasted delicious. And then you found out that that chef didn't cook it. It still tasted delicious. So it was, yeah. So you wouldn't walk away from that meal saying, oh, I was totally scammed. No, the meal tasted spectacular. Once I found out that that chef didn't cook it, then I could set my boundary. So there's no judgment, please no self-judgment if you've been down this path where somebody, got you excited about spirituality or lifted you up or got you in there, yeah, right. And then next thing you know, they're like positioning with you or telling you that you're never gonna be able to do that, but you could do, and you start feeling uncomfortable and start feeling icky about it. There's no judgment in that because the situation that got us into this was a fair situation. It was a good meal. But when you find out it wasn't that cook, you should walk away. When you find out that they're not in it for you, they're not actually in it to help lift you up, then you walk away. So you did nothing wrong. You didn't get tricked. You didn't get duped. You had an experience. You all of a sudden saw something, and guess what? You caught it faster because we've had this discussion, and this discussion now is in the back of your mind, and you went, wait a minute, I think they're trying to position with me. What do you mean you're more intuitive than me and I'll never be as intuitive as you? What do you mean? Come on. What do you mean I have to only do it this one way and that's the only way that it can be done? That doesn't feel right. The second it doesn't feel right, we pay attention. We pay attention and we say, thank you. No, thank you. I'm going to move on. That's the biggest red flag, positioning. Some of the other red flags would be continual, larger amounts of investment in money. It's one thing for someone to charge like a monthly fee and it's a reasonable fee and it just stays there and that's what it is. There's nothing wrong with that. People have to pay their servers and the websites and that's how they make their living, right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with paying a small amount to go to like a group class or something like that. Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that either. But if you find that the payments keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you are expected to continue to give more and more and more. Also, let me add to this. If these levels that a teacher or a guru is telling you have to do keep getting more expensive, if these levels are explained to you as necessary to get to the next this, necessary to get to the next this. Oh, if you don't take the next level, you'll never grow any further than this. If the levels and the courses and the bigger things all tend to feel like you're never going to get there or it just keeps getting more expensive, or if you don't pay it, you won't achieve your spiritual goals, run away, walk away, leave. Be like, no, I'm all set. Because here's that piece that I talked about, just touched on a little bit earlier. When it comes to spiritual development and intuitive development, the best information you're ever going to get, the strongest guidance, the most powerful life transforming information is going to come from your intuition, not from any human, not from any of them, not from me, not from anybody. It's great to get readings, and there are amazing readers out there who are sincere and the real deal. And those are great because that confirmation, it's wonderful, right? It's amazing to take classes from different teachers. Remember, we're taking from multiple teachers. It's great to get classes from different teachers because you'll hear things in different ways, and then you'll be able to apply that to how you work intuitively and spiritually. It is wonderful to read books. It's incredible to watch documentaries. The more different sources you can gather knowledge and information from is great. But the bottom line is the true depth of intuitive expansion and spiritual growth is going to come from within. What does this look like? It's typically, not everybody, but typically here's the path of somebody seeking their spiritual path and opening up their intuition. They will get very curious, very hungry for it, or they'll have a big event happen in their life, or they'll have a moment where they wake up and they go, okay, well, this needs to change. I can't do this anymore. This programming just needs to be done. So they start walking down this path, and there's this hunger for knowledge. You want to know, you really want more information, and you start reading, you start watching like YouTube videos and documentaries and things like this. You maybe take a couple classes here and there, and then you know that you know more, but you don't feel like you know enough. So you read more books and you watch more documentaries and you find more teachers, new teachers, or you take more of their courses, which don't increase every single time because they're not scamming you, increase in price every time. And now you really know more, but you know you don't know everything you're supposed to know. And this is because at some point, there is a tipping point on your spiritual path where the answers come from within. This is why I am one of the biggest cheerleaders out there of helping people develop their intuition. Because what I'm doing is helping people get to that tipping point where they have communication with their guides, where they can relax into source, where they can feel what's right for them and their unique wiring. That's my passion. I just lit up. Can you tell? But that's my job. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I want to get you to that beautiful tipping point where all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to see what my intuition says about this. And then with practice, you're able to rely on yes and no intuition, getting visions or images or signs or hearing things or feeling things that guide you in your right direction. That's where that starts. Okay. So let me back up and line that up again one more time. When you first start walking this path, you're hungry for knowledge. You take classes, you find teachers, you read books, you watch documentaries. After a little bit of time, you find that you know a lot and you're on the path, but you're still hungry for more. So you keep doing that. What I want to help people understand is that there's going to be a tipping point where no book, no living person can give you any more knowledge or information to get you beyond that point. You need to find it within. And when people start to go within and start to use their own intuition, they practice, because it takes a bit of practice to be able to understand how you're wired. I mean, the Sage Method course I teach is 7 weeks long. It's not a simple process, and it's not a light switch you just turn on, right? But you start training and opening up that intuitive channel, and then you learn to be able to trust it more. And then you learn the difference between intuition and imagination. Now you have a resource within you that you can count on and trust. Once that happens, you're able to guide yourself toward the experiences that no living person could have set you up for or prepared you for. And these experiences are powerful and beautiful and meaningful. And then you get to sit in front of people and be like, this is my job, right? So I've walked this path. I've seen so many people walk this path. There's never a moment where you know everything you're supposed to know. It doesn't work like that. But there is a moment that you get to where you're like, this is my jam. This is what I feel so centered in what I'm doing. I know I've like landed in my spot. I'm still learning. Everyone's still learning. We're going to like learn more about spirituality, and we're going to deepen our intuition, our connections as we go, but it's unlimited. So that brings me back. And then I'm going to tell the story about that guru because man, the story cracks me up today. It made me really mad back then. But, in essence, so let's break it down to red flag, green flags. And then I'm going to tell the story. Red flags. Number one, look for positioning. You might not see it right out of the gate, but at some point you're going to start to see them positioning with you. You can't go anywhere else. I'm your only teacher. I know more than you. You'll never be as intuitive as me. You'll never be as strong as me. You'll never have the same energy connection that I have. Look for the positioning. Keep your eye out for it when it starts to happen. Let yourself sit with that and feel what that feels like. Another red flag is that they expect payments on a continual basis, and those payments continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Another red flag, they will continually tell you there's a next level that you have to pay for, and you never seem to reach the end of these levels. And you can't, because nobody can be better than them, right? Those are a couple of the red flags that are the most obvious and you should pay attention to. Those types of teachers have serious inner work that they need to do. They have serious trauma that they've probably walked through. And instead of working on themselves, they're feeding off other people to make themselves feel whole. It's very sad all around. It's a lose-lose for everybody. Now, let's go into the green flags real quick, summarize those, and then I'm going to tell you this story about this guru. Green flags. Somebody that we can go backwards with this, that isn't telling you that there's, one more level you have to learn from me from. There's one more level that you have to learn from me from. They're telling you that it's not about levels. It's about, I'm going to teach you everything I can teach you, and then you're going to go on your way and keep growing beyond me. That's the approach of a teacher whose job it is. These lighthouse teachers are like the pit stop. You swing over and you pull into the pit stop, and they go, okay, here's everything you're going to need to know for the next portion of your journey. And then you go on to the next portion of your journey. Green flags are people that are actually sincerely excited for you when you have great successes and growth on your path. They don't take those moments and then turn them back around to make you feel like it's not a success. They're very excited for you. That's all they really want, is to see you succeed. Another green flag is that they will expect nothing of you. They will expect nothing of you. They will not require anything of you. They will always have it be an open door policy. Show up if you want to show up. You don't have to show up if you don't want to show up. Here's what I can offer. If it feels right for you, take it. If it doesn't, that's cool. They don't take offense at any of that. Another green flag for gurus and I'm just going to say teachers. The word guru just doesn't sit with me very well. So a green flag for teachers. And that's just me. That's just my vibe. But one more green flag. Oh, I just lost it because I was joking about the whole guru word. One more green flag. I lost it. Wait, it's coming back to me. It's coming back to me. He was talking about being excited for you. Take this if it resonates with you, et cetera, et cetera. Oh, this is the green flag. They stay curious. They stay curious, and it's obvious to you that they're open to learning. So it's obvious to you that the teacher you're learning from is also open to learning more for themselves as well. That's a beautiful one. If you see that, if you see somebody that has a moment, like teacher that has a moment that says, you know what, I'm not sure about that one, but I'm going to look into it, that's a green flag. If you see a teacher that is talking about, yeah, I just started learning this aspect of this, this, and this for myself, that is a big green flag. So those are your red flags and your green flags. Here's the story I want to share with you. So You might know that I opened up 20 years ago. I was a complete skeptic. My grandmother passed away in the middle of the afternoon, showed up in my living room in spirit form, scared the socks off me, and here we are today. Because I explored it to figure out if it was real. Turns out, go figure, it was. And now here I am today, 20 years later, teaching other people to tap into their intuition. Okay, so I walked this path for probably 3 years, no, 2 years, I would say, before I started to do public speaking. And I was very nervous about it. I was already reading for clients and teaching in small groups, but I wanted to do public speaking. And for me, one of the ways I learn is I research like who's out there doing it, and then maybe I can go listen. This is what I did. I found a local guru. He called himself a guru. And at the time I was like, ooh, guru. I drove like 30 miles to go listen to him speak. I get there, the greeters guided me into the room. I was there a little bit early because I was prompt, and which is unusual for me. I sat in the front row because they were filling up that way. And a little while later, he entered and he made an entrance. This man was wearing easily $1,000 shoes. This is 18 years ago. He was wearing a suit that was probably cost the same as my car. He was dressed to the nines, and he was smug, and he climbed up on the stage, and then he climbed up on the pedestal on top of the stage, and then he climbed up into his giant throne-like chair and cleared his throat and literally started his speech, I'm going to call it now, by saying, "You may wonder why I am sitting so high up above you. This is because I am above you. And today you're going to be blessed by my teachings, and they're going to fall upon your ears." And he was just, so we're talking 2 sentences in, and I'm now thinking to myself, what the heck have I gotten into? This is ridiculous. This is not even one of those gurus that like love bombs you or makes you feel great and then sucks you in and then positions with you. This man came out hot, and I was already gone. I was already clicked out. I want nothing to do with this whatsoever. However, this was, like I said, 18 or 19 years ago. And I was such a people pleaser back then because I was programmed to be a people pleaser. My intuition opening and my spiritual path cured that. It healed that. I am now able to be the nice person I am without having that people pleasing thing. But I couldn't leave because I didn't want to offend him. Here is the biggest jerk I have ever seen sitting right in front of me, spewing stuff that makes me want to puke. And yet I was such a people pleaser, I couldn't leave. So here we go. This is the rest of the story. I'm now sitting there thinking to myself, this is going to be a very long 30 minutes. And I look above him, and there's this diagram chart. It's pretty long. It's like 10 feet long, 2 or 3 feet high. And there's mathematics in it. And I'm a math major from college. I have a degree in mathematics from college. So I love that stuff. So I'm now looking up at it because I want nothing to do with what this man's saying. And I'm not wearing that attitude. I'm just kind of half listening because it was like listening to a 2-year-old tell you about one peanut butter sandwich for 30 minutes. At some point, you kind of zone out. You're there for him because you love him for the first 5 minutes, but the toddler, that is. So guru, yabbity, 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 not really landing on anything, not saying anything. So I'm kind of half listening, half not. And I'm paying attention to this chart up above. I'm trying to figure it out mathematically because pretty quickly I'm realizing the mathematics on this chart don't make any sense. On top of it, this man is not talking about anything about the chart that's above his head. So I've come to the conclusion that this must be some sort of a equation for some program that he does, and he's just not talking about it. All of a sudden, I hear him say to a gentleman sitting 5 or 6 rows behind me, "What are you doing? Why are you taking notes?" And I'm now focused in because confrontation just started. And the gentleman, a couple rows back, said, "Oh, I'm taking notes because this is how I retain information." And the guru says to him, "Put your note, stop, put it away. You're going to retain what you're going to retain because my words are blessings falling upon your ears, not you scribbling them down on paper." He was just gross. Okay, everyone just took a collective breath because they were all so in love with him. And he went back into his spiel about how great he is and etc. I'm now looking back up at that equation and I'm stuck because I just can't get it to mathematically add up. And he looks at me and he's like, "Stop looking at that. You're here to pay attention to me." Yeah, he said that. And I just smiled. I know how to be non-confrontational. I just smiled and just kept looking at him, wondering when the last time he put Walmart box hair dye in his hair. So I'm just frustrated. It ends. It's over. And 30 minutes wrapped up, everyone stands up. We all walk outside. And here's the point for this story specifically. I walk outside, and because I was in the front row, I'm one of the last people to walk out. So I have to make my way through this crowd. And everyone is raving about him. Absolutely raving at his pureness that just poured through my soul with every word he spoke. And I left, got in my car, and was sad. I was sad. And I thought, I really hope that they see the red flags. And I really hope that they are able to find a way out of that type of narcissistic brainwashing, really, because it's real and it happens. I'm going to leave you with one thought that you probably wouldn't expect after listening to all of this. And then we're going to wrap up for this session. Here's the thought or the concept or the teaching. It's good for everyone to have experienced this on some level. So if you have experienced it, or you're listening to this thinking, crap, I think I'm in this situation right now with another teacher, any of those, I want you to hear, having that experience with a teacher or a guru like that teaches you so much. It is good training. It's a good training moment for you. It's a good eye-opening, awakening moment for you. It is a comparison moment for you that will serve you many times over later in life. So if you've had the experience, if you're having the experience now, or if you have it in the future, don't come down on yourself. I don't come down on myself for sitting there with Mr. Alligator shoes and, high and toity. I look at that and think I learned what absolutely not to do. And I learned what it looks like when people take spirituality and use it in a negative way. And I cherish that teaching. I wish I had the 30 minutes back of my life, and that equation did not add up. But every teacher we have, good to bad, the whole spectrum, every guru you run into, they'll have something to teach you, even if it's what not to do or what to avoid. All right, that's it for this session. I'll see you next week.